You have a brand. You are a human. You have your own identity, your own brand. So this applies to everybody here. مرحبا بالجميع. This session will be in English for anybody who also doesn't understand English, and I think most of the Arabs, at least 95%, will understand this. And we will have a dedicated Q&A. So it's supposed to be different maybe than the other sessions because we want to interact. And me and Noor designed this, by the way. I will not take any credit for what you're going to see. I just talk. But Noor designed something that can actually help each person here. So we will get into branding, and I'm sure a lot of you have already a definition of what branding is, but hopefully through her knowledge, we can help everybody, whether personally or through their business. Okay.
Yes, so we're here to teach you a thing or two about branding. And this is going to be an interactive session, right? So we're going to be asking you questions. There's going to be a Q&A at the end. And please feel free to interact as much as possible. So welcome.
هلا. And then we need a raise of hands. What is branding?
Volunteers.
Yes, you don't count. You're with us in the company. يعني.
Yeah, BB, don't say anything.
يلا منو يعرف شو branding, please. So we kind of see if people know or they don't know. We're not going to ask you to come on stage.
There are no wrong answers.
Who knows what is branding? Raise your hand.
Yes, we have a few.
Few.
Can we send the microphone?
But you know, Noor, I think it's interesting that a lot of people didn't raise their hands, which is shocking for your field, because this is why we're here. We were supposed to educate people what is branding. And I like that not a lot of people raise their hand and then they probably are not sure of the answer. Who can give us, you want two? Let's
yeah,
get
two would be good.
Mics, في mics? Okay. في وحدة هناك لابسة جاكيت أحمر عشان كل حد يحصلها. Okay, let's see what is branding. According to?
Okay, hi, my name is Noor Makram. This is actually my job. So branding is representing something or a product or a message in a visual narrative to communicate to the people. So it doesn't have to be based on colors or image or typography or whatever, but how you present yourself to the people by even how you speak, how you dress, how you talk. It's who you are represented in multiple and versatile way to people.
Okay.
Or anything. Yeah. Do you want a specific like?
لا لا حلو.
No, that's great. That's really
حلو.
great.
It's a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Great first answer.
نحتاج one more. نشوف مكان ثاني.
We have someone in the front.
يلا, you choose. I chose the first one. Who would you choose? أنت
There's
اختار.
someone in the front who raised their hand.
يلا, in the front. ركضناك معنا.
Okay, the mic is...
Okay. اسمك لو سمحتي بعد.
Hey guys, so my name is Dalia Hosni and I actually work in advertising.
ذبحونا هذيلا كلهم ما شاء الله في
See? So I think basically branding is an identity. It's identity to, it's when you see something, when you see packaging, and it actually goes beyond packaging and the visual identity itself. It goes all the way to all the communication that the brand communicates basically, and it's all different channels, and it tells a lot about the brand through just maybe a visual example, an outdoor, and so on and so forth. So I think the perfect word would be identity.
Nice.
Good
answers.
أنت شو رأيك? What do you think of the two answers?
I think definitely it's beyond the visuals, which is something that I aim to talk about today. So you guys did hit a lot of the points, and we're going to go into it a little bit further as well. Okay. So it's good that we sort of brainstormed in the beginning. I'm going to do a small exercise where I want you to listen to a sound. And once you listen to the sound, I want you to say, like loudly, the name of the brand that you associate this sound with.
Yeah.
Okay? صح. Emirates Airlines. شاطر عايدة. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you listened to the sound and you already imagined or remembered or had a memory of you on an airplane, or some story of you going to the airport, or some conversation that you had. It's very interesting how Emirates, just from the sound, is a very small, powerful part of branding. The tone of voice, the sound of the brand. Hello.
جاينك
And
هذا
the
والدرون.
Yeah, I'm not used to this, guys, at all. Okay. So Emirates does a fantastic job of creating a very consistent brand all throughout their outlets. So even, for example, the photo that you see, the uniforms that you see them wearing, the ad sets that they have online, all feels very cohesive and consistent. It's not by chance that she's wearing a red shirt, you know, there's a reason for everything. Another great example is Lush. I'm sure you all know about this brand. So Lush create fresh handmade cosmetics. And basically what they do is that they don't advocate only for natural or organic ingredients, but they welcome you into their process, right? They show you who is actually building the product in your hand. So you see مثلا their face on the brand, the name of the person on the brand, which creates a personalized experience. So that's something that makes Lush unique. Another one and only, of course, half of you probably are not more are holding an Apple device. So Apple is very well known for creating a minimalistic, cohesive, consistent identity, whether it's innovation, whether it's in their design. And we also have IKEA. So IKEA, what makes them very unique as well is that they're very connected to their origin. So there's a reason also why the colors of the flag is related also to the brand. For example, the name of IKEA is related back to an origin of where the founder was from. And then, for example, also, when you think
what's
about...
crazy, I never knew that, although it's obvious, that it's the Swedish flag colors.
It's kind of, even when on their shirts, in the back of their shirts, they have hello in Swedish, and it's a constant reminder of their origin, and they obviously don't do this by chance. So it's all interconnected. Oh, great! Swedish in the crowd. So another also example is not only physical or let's say brands that you see, but also online brands. So a lot of people don't know that. For Amazon, there's an arrow that goes from A to Z, which actually means that they give you everything from A to Z. Even, for example, this arrow, they utilized it as a smiley face. So, for example, when you order something online, the association of joy is already connected to the brand because you're so excited to receive your order. And they translated that also within their packaging. So it's all sort of interconnected. And then, obviously, you have Instagram. So
When's Samar?
Huh?
Samar is here.
Oh, hi!
He represents.
Yay, thumbs up. Yes. So even brands that you don't necessarily see outside your phone, even within your phone, the interface, the ads that they do, they all also accumulate a very consistent brand or branding.
Yeah.
So these are just examples. Do you want to add anything, Anas?
No, I think it's just really interesting because a lot of the things that you mentioned when we were doing this presentation, I didn't notice that Amazon was from A to Z, although now it's super obvious when she mentions it. But there are these little hints that you see. Even the smiley face or the smiley face from an arrow gives you an emotion. I don't know if I should say this already, but there was this video on Instagram where the girl was talking about if you get a really expensive diamond ring and you put it in a trash bag, right? And you just like crush the trash bag and you just throw the ring in it and you give it to the girl you're supposed to give it to, right? If she looks at it, she could be like, what are you giving me? You're giving me something you found in the garbage or something that is cheap. It could be a really high-end, expensive diamond ring. But because it's placed and it's presented in a certain look, you feel it's cheap. But if you put it in the turquoise of a certain brand can I say names? Okay, the turquoise bag or the other red box or all of these brands, right? If I take the same ring with the same price and I put it in a really nice box with a nice thing, suddenly, how do you feel when you see that? You're like, that's expensive. هذا قال Cartier, see that? Okay.
Even just from
you know what I mean?
chain,
So that branding is an emotion. It's not just the value, it's how you feel when you see a certain logo.
Yes, 100%. So now we're going to go back to the actual definition. So again, this is subjective. There are many different definitions, but what I feel is very clear, concise, is that branding is the process of creating a distinct identity for a product, service, person, or organization in the consumer's mind. So in who? In you. It's not only what you see, it is also the perception of what you hear, what you think, and feel about a company, name, or product. So again, adding to what Anna said, it's the emotions that are connected to the brand, and it's not only what you see, but it's also the sound, like we exhibited in the first exercise, and also what you think about the brand as a whole. So the famous question, how do we start?
We come back to the point of this session. This session, you can use your notes, you can take pictures of certain slides, and you can interact, because the idea, when we say branding, a lot of people think branding is just for your startup or for your company. But we forget that there's a person. Even if you don't have a business, you have a brand. You are a human. You have your own identity, your own brand. So this applies to everybody here. How can you brand yourself if you don't have a business? How can you brand yourself if you have a business? Or how can you brand a business that reflects you?
Exactly. So we're going to go through steps, a step-by-step guide of what to do when you want to start. And it obviously starts with you. So the first step is uncover your zone of genius.
Okay, so the zone of genius, the next slide that we'll go to will help us uncover it more. But the idea is finding what's you're really passionate maybe about and you're actually good at. Something that is so distinct to you. And we're going to try to narrow it down how you can find your zone of genius if you haven't already. Some people are born and they quickly find, for example, Messi. Messi was born and quickly he got into a football academy. He didn't need to try so many things. He just found his zone of genius very luckily. But he represents 0.1 maybe % of the human population that find it so early. Everybody else doesn't find it that early. They have to keep trying, exploring, failing, enjoying, getting bored, trying something else. So let's go to this. Okay, so first circle is passions. So the question you should be asking yourself is, what is something you would do all day for free? It's similar maybe to the question I asked yesterday. If I gave you enough money for a lifetime, but you had to choose something to do for the rest of your life, what would you do? So it's a similar thing. It's a good question to ask yourself. The second point is your skills. What is the toolkit you built from your years of experience? So everybody here has a very unique journey on this earth. What did you learn? Where did you travel? Who did you meet? What jobs did you do? What hobbies do you like? Who broke your heart? All kinds of things make you you. So this is your skills. Next, talents. What are your God-given gifts? You can ask an honest best friend.
Best friend, yeah.
You know, if you ask somebody, what do you think is my biggest talent? They will probably tell you.
Yeah, like you're a good listener, you're great at drawing, whatever it might be. Yeah.
And the last circle is your values. What matters to you more than money? And this is such an important question because this really will help you through your brand. What is more important than money? What kind of values represent you as a human being? And you can see the zone of genius is where all of these things can gather. So if you ask yourself these 4 questions, you can come towards your zone of genius.
And this is where you operate. So you operate from this zone of genius with all of these things combined. Step 2, define your why. And I think we talked about this yesterday in our panel. Your why is like your guiding compass and your North Star. You always go back to your why or create your why before you make your business or before you create your brand. And we're going to talk about what does a why do. So the first thing, like we said, it's a guiding compass. It allows you to choose what direction to take. Which partnership should I go towards? What decision am I going to take, right? Second, when you are, let's say, doing a brand or opening a business, there's a lot of questions. Do I say yes to this or do I say no? And when you have your why, your answer to that is so like direct, instant. Yes, hell yes, I'm going to do this. Or hell no, I'm not going to do this. And that's from your why. The third is it connects you to the audience. So you want to make sure that your why also is relatable, right? Like it's hitting the target with the emotions that the audience or the person receiving your brand. And the fourth is that it keeps everyone in your brand or in your business aligned. So for example, when you guys have these meetings together as a team, we always have to go back to our why, you know, and discuss and make sure, okay, does this business decision match our why of the company? And then we want to give an example just so that
I
it
think,
gives them a better idea.
Yeah, I think your why has to be super clear.
Yeah.
If your why is not super clear, you don't know how to answer questions. Should we use this color? I'm not sure. Should we talk in this tone of voice? I'm not sure. Should we do this for the show or for the company? If your why is not clear, then it's not a good filter. But if your why is very clear, that everybody in your company, the first time they come in 1 week, they understand what your company stands for, then it's quite easier. So it needs some work to get your why very clear so you can answer all of these questions.
Yeah. Step 3, write up your story. So this is where you actually give your brand a personality. This is where you give it a life. So one thing that I really enjoyed when I was listening to a podcast by Whitney Wolf, she was saying, you know, when you want to write up your story, you need to think about, okay, what is its name? Where does it live? What clothes does it wear? Does it laugh until it cries? Is it extroverted? Is it introverted? You want to answer all of these details in specific so that you can write up the most unique story that fits you and fits the brand. So that's also very important. I'm sure you know Anas Bokhash's story. So we'll go on to the next.
والله ما يعرفون نص ما يعرفون أنا دارس mechanical engineering أصلا.
Okay, step 4, understand your audience. So again, we touched upon this in the beginning where you really need to ask the person or brand that you're working for, right? What do they care about? What do they do? What do they like? How can you be a companion in their day? And the final question, which is very important, is how can you add value to their life, right? Because when you answer that question, then you kind of get an idea about who your brand is for.
You know, in Bukhash Brothers at the agency, I always remind myself and I remind the team to lead by value. And if you lead by value, يعني بالعربي كيف أنا أقدر أخدم الزبون ولا الكلاينت مش كيف هو يقدر يخدمني. How can I add benefit? Because if I actually feel that I'm adding benefit and they feel, then they'll pay for it. They will like you because you are helping their life. You're providing a service. But if you only think, oh, how can I take from them? Take, you're missing the whole point. You're not leading by giving value. If you focus on your customer service, your quality, your integrity, your process, is it smooth? Is it difficult? Is it complicated? Do we know how to pick up a phone? Are we nice? Are we reliable? Do we make people's lives easier? That's value. So if you start to lead by value in your business, people will like you. So it's quite simple.
And step 5, which is building your visual identity. So we're going to include now, what does a brand identity have?
This is the fun part.
First, creative direction. So this is the fun part where you kind of get, let's say, if you're doing this on your own, a mood board, references, inspiration, style of what kind you want to do, what kind of brand you want to build. And then you think about the logo design. So obviously this can be, let's say, initials. It could be an icon. It could be, obviously, the name of your brand. It could be in letters. It can be pictographic. Then we have the color palette. Of course, you can have a color that you like, but the colors have to have a reason of why you're using them. You don't use orange because you just like orange. There's a science and theory behind the reason why we use colors. And then we also have typography suite, which is the fonts that we use. So this is also very important because every font has its own personality. And you want to make sure that the font you use fits the personality of your brand. And then we have photography style. And this is so important. It gets like thrown and not really thought about. But when you think about photography style, it affects everything on social media as well. So are you taking, for example, very organic, clear kind of footage? Or are you taking very cinematic, dark? Or is it, for example, very happy, light, So all of these things you need to think about in terms of your photography style. And then finally, your graphic brand elements. So are you using, for example, illustrations? Are you using a certain type of, let's say, drawings or artistic, whatever, or for example, shapes, lines, anything that adds visual language to your brand, you need to think about of how you want to include it within your identity. And then step 6, bringing it to life, which is implementation, right? You take all of these things and you're like, obviously you have this guideline, but you want to bring the guideline to life. So we're going to show you some of the examples that Bokhash Brothers has created, just to give you an idea of how we create consistent brands and how we translate them online as well. So I'm just going to go through them quickly. So for example, the first one we have is Balqis. So of course you guys know her. She's the singer. We developed her personal brand identity. We developed her brand purpose, her color palette, and obviously this can be implemented in her concerts. It could be implemented in her merch, on her website, Instagram, whatever you name it.
Music videos.
Music videos, yeah. We also have Not So Guilty, which is a cafe that we internally created. We developed the name, the identity as a whole, and everything to do also with the social media, website, all of that. Do you want to say anything about Not So Guilty and why you made it?
No, I think that the slide that she had all of these points, which was typography, color palette, it's so important that they all work together. I mean, don't work on them separately. So once you build your why or your purpose or your visual identity, all of these things have to come together and make sense. It shouldn't be like that, you know? It should all come together. So when I look at a brand, I can feel the personality that you're trying to give me. I can feel your values or your mission or all of those. So I think this is the fun part because we see it visually.
Everything together, everything translated, yeah. I mean, the worst thing that we could receive is, I want a logo design. And then you're like, okay, but you have no values, no personality, no story, no foundation. We can't start a logo design just like this. So you really need to nail your brand foundation for you to take that and then translate it visually into an identity.
You know, you reminded me of something really important. Sometimes when we ask the question, what is branding? People think it's a logo.
Yeah,
and this is the biggest
misconception.
mistake. I'll give you an example. If we never knew Nike as a sports brand and you just saw the tick, it's the simplest, somebody can say the lamest logo. It doesn't mean anything. If you never knew about Nike and you just saw this, you wouldn't know anything. You just think it's a tick and it's silly and you don't know what it represents. But because we know from the ads and the stories and the reputation and the athletes that are wearing it, or Michael Jordan, and it has an emotion. This tick now means something. So I think this is a very big distinction. Your branding is not just a logo. The logo, last thing.
Small part, yeah.
Correct.
This is also a podcast that we developed for Mona Katan called Find Your Light. This is Manouche Street, which is a restaurant that's been in Dubai for the past 10 years, and we rebranded it. This is Waru, which is an architecture interior design agency. Event Chic, which is an events company. Fajr Awadi, again, another personal brand. She's a Kuwaiti spokesperson. Azha Community, which is actually a residential community in Ajman. So again, you don't just brand products, you could brand areas as well. Chalk, which is one of our internal brands as well, which is our hair salon. Buka, also one of our internal brands, which is a fashion line. And then Twice, which is a cafe and also a spa. But as you can see, as I go through all of these examples, you can tell that they have a cohesive, consistent brand. So Alta is actually one of our real estate brands that we developed. So you could see like the graphic elements, the colors, the fonts, the image style, the Instagram page, all of it is connected. All of it fits like a family. And of course, the one and only favorite, AB Talks. So with AB Talks, I'll let Anna speak as well. We've developed many things, not just the YouTube show itself, but the website, the social media content itself, merch, so the card game, hat, mugs, stickers. This is a little bit of an insight. This took 2 years to create. Lots of hard work.
Yeah, 2 years.
From the design to the actual content, but we're very proud. You can buy it online if you would like. But yeah, like this is just an insight, but I'll leave it to Anas to talk about AB Talks.
You can tell that I'm a fan of branding. I really love branding, and I got introduced to it many years ago. And then I started to educate myself to learn about it. But because I started to see the value, there's a value to branding. يعني الحين بقولها بالعربي. نحن بالعربي في شركاتنا وفي الستارت ابس نستصغر وما نعطي أهمية للهوية، للايدنتيتي مال البراند ايدنتيتي، ما نحط له بادجت للاسف. بس تروحون الشركات الغربيه حتى الانتربرنورز والستارت ابس مركزين على البراندنج. ليش؟ فلازم ما نستصغر هالاشياء. الهويه اللي انت تسويها ترى اللي بتحتاجها عشان تعرف نفسك وتعرف الجمهور والوين تبغى توصل له. Sorry for the Arabic, but what I was trying to say, how in the Arab world sometimes maybe we diminish the importance of branding, although it's so crucial because it's literally your DNA. It's your DNA as a person, as a company. So you can see how a show that you can see via podcast, from the cover on the podcast, from the studio, from the cards, from the type of guests, from what I can wear, all of it has to come together. People don't realize how much work goes into a lot of these companies that we see around us. We think, nice, I'm sure they have a good graphic designer. No, it's really not like that. There's a whole manual. And what we wanted to do with Noor and her team and Bukhash Brothers is to also improve branding. Because a lot of branding guidelines, it comes to you, but you don't know how to use it on social media. Okay, how do I use it on X, on TikTok, on Instagram? It's each platform has its own.
Yeah. Or even offline. Yeah.
Exactly, or offline. So I think AB Talks is in a good case study of that.
100%. So the final thing that we also want to land with, we're going to do also an exercise, is that to be able to start a brand on the outside, you need to start on the inside, right? So we're going to do an exercise. It's going to be a little bit personal, but we'd love for everyone to, pitch in. And if you have, of course, your phone with you, notepad, anything that you want, book, notebook, anything, we'd like you to answer 3 questions.
الحين شباب طلعوا التليفونات.
Yeah, right now, yes.
ما بنكون طيبين معاكم، طلعوا التليفونات.
Right now, you can take your phone, open your notepad. Yeah.
Okay.
First question is, how do you see yourself? And I want you guys to be honest and critical. Don't underestimate, don't overthink it. Put
This is a good exercise for you also. How
Yeah.
do you see yourself in 3 words?
Yeah, I'll give you guys a minute.
ولا تفكرون وايد.
Let's say examples. Passionate, hard worker,
لا تغششينها.
overthinker,
لا تغششينها.
opinionated.
They're gonna steal your words now and add them.
Okay. When you finish,
And
I
be
want
very
to see...
something you said when we were doing the presentation, like don't understate yourself.
Yeah.
Like la, I will look arrogant. No. Right. How do you see yourself? Be very frank.
And once you're done, I want to see your hands. If you're done,
So
raise
we
your
can
hand.
go to the next one. منو خلص?
Can I see? Nice. We have engaged. People
Okay.
engaged. Nice.
Are we good?
Okay,
Okay.
great. Love it.
Next question.
And let's go.
How do you think people see you? بصراحة. كيف؟ خبرونا.
بصراحة.
Please. الحين ما بقول كلمة أي وقت أقول بصراحة ناس يأخذون مكان ثاني. How do you think people see you?
So your friends, family, coworkers.
Yeah.
Take yourself outside your body and assess how do you think people see you. 3 words. And when you're done, raise your hand.
ماشي.
Nice,
أنت
nice.
شكلك
شاطرة
تعرفين شو؟
والله.
اللي
quick.
كانت في الصف أول وحدة تخلص الامتحان
Nice,
وقالت أنا
A+.
خلصت ونحن كلنا زعلانين ومخربة مزاج الصف كله وكل حد يكرهك في الصف بس المدرسين يحبونك.
No, we like you today.
أنا أول واحدة وما تغششين بعد هالمشكلة.
Okay, let's see. Show of hands for the ones who are done. Nice.
Okay.
Okay, last one.
Okay, number 3. How do you want to be seen? How do you want to be seen? How would you like to be seen? So do you see yourself? How do you think people see you? And how would you like
To be
to be
seen.
seen?
If you get similar, 1 to 3, then I feel like people are on the right track.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, a show of hands for the ones who are done. Nice.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't worry, we're not going to ask you to share your answers, but I'm sure all of you are asking what the objective of this exercise was. And I think it's because we never actually sit down with ourselves one-on-one and ask ourselves these questions, right? Because the first step of actually building a brand that you want or that you like, or even your personal brand, there needs to be a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-actualization. So you need to think and see, what do I want? How do I see myself? How do I think people see me? And what do I actually want to be seen? And what do I actually want to do? So that's really, really important. And we wanted you guys to sort of brainstorm and start that.
You know, I think, Noor, an important point. It's quite crazy. Now think of this. When was the last time you spent 1 hour alone without your phone and without friends? Okay, ارفعوا
Nice,
ايدكم. Let me see how many people. At least 1 hour alone without people, without a phone.
Yeah, without internet.
Good.
Nice.
And you can see maybe it was, I would say 30% of you raised your hands. That means 70% they didn't remember when was the last time they spent 1 hour alone, because we're distracted with our phones. We are influenced by social media. We are influenced by our friends. We see what people do we want to do, but we don't think, what do I actually want to do? الفومو والجومو So it's very important to sit with yourself, to ask, to wonder, to have a walk alone, to think and ask the questions that Noor has given. They're simple questions, but if you spend time alone, you might realize, what do you want to do? What's your brand purpose? And so forth.
That's right. So as cheesy as it may be, building self-awareness will guide you to build the business of your dreams and the brand of your dreams. So we're going to leave you now also with a Q&A. You guys can please feel free to just ask us anything that you have in mind. But I think we have concluded the session.
Well, how many questions can we, how much time we have?
Let's do 5.
Let's do some questions, guys. Before I go, والله شفتك. خلاص موصل المايك عندك بالواسطة. Before the first question, I think a very important point is when I was walking today between the stalls, somebody asked me, she said, what are 3 tips for entrepreneurs? Anas, that you would give. So I said, the first point is don't imitate. I think we're tired of imitation. And let's play with logic. If everybody thinks that their fingerprint is actually one of a kind, صح? It's science, so there's no argument here. Everybody has a unique fingerprint. We agree? Yes. Okay. So if we agree that our fingerprints are only us, nobody can disagree on this. Okay, hello. So why do we do things and are so influenced and want to copy and want to imitate? You're beautiful on your own. Nobody here is like the other. Nobody. Literally. So if you start to build your brand around the idea that يا أخي ما في حد مثلي أنا ولا حد في مثلك ولا مثلك كل واحد فريد من نوعه. Okay. What are the things that make me different and unique? And if I start to build a brand to what my values are, how I am as a person, my experiences, my uniqueness, and everybody does that, you have a really beautiful world, like literally diverse, and not you see everybody looking like each other or dressing like each other or doing similar businesses. So think of that when you do your branding, and let's go with first question. صح؟ وين الواسطة؟ Okay, يلا تفضل.
طيب أول شيء thank you for the valuable insights and the presentation. السؤال بس question I have is on your last point. Yeah. So you mentioned self-awareness in order to understand yourself and set in your own and how you want to be perceived by your surroundings, right? But what weight do you actually place on making sure you understand your audience and how they will actually understand your communication. So you can be really sure about how you want to be seen and how people see you, but how we make sure you understand that everyone, because people are different, they see things differently, so you need to be objective enough, you know what I mean, so that everyone from different perspectives understand you. Because a lot of people, they know exactly what they want to say, but they miss the idea that the people actually get it right.
Very good question.
I could interject also.
Yeah.
So, what connects us as humans are our values, right? Our morals. So, if I, for example, want to target someone specific, they will probably have the same values as I do because they're believing in a product or a business or a brand that I'm doing. So, if I understand the values that I want and I want to make sure that I translate that, hey guys, whoever's interested in this certain value, let's say humanity, sustainability, woman empowerment, any of these points, if I target that specific group of people that believe in those values and those morals, or believe in a cause, or any sort of connection that I have, you'll sort of understand, okay, this is the audience that I want. Let's say, for example, there's a gap in the market that you're trying to fill. And you're like, I want to target and let these people know that I'm building this brand for them. So then you're like, okay, these are the people I'm trying to find, rather than them trying to find you. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. But I mean, makes sense for those already, like you said, aligned with your values, etc. But
Yeah.
what about those who are like
Who don't?
who don't? If you
That
want,
you
like,
are trying to convert?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I don't have the answer. It's a good question because you also started by saying what's the weightage you would give? How important is it to really focus on the type of audience?
I mean, it depends. If you are, for example, trying to create a brand where you're trying to change someone's perspective about something, then it's up to you and how you showcase your brand and what you want to say for people to actually be like, oh no, I want to listen to this person or I want to listen to this brand. So it really is about what you're doing on the outside that's bringing this new audience to you. Yeah.
اسمك؟
طارق.
تعرف طارق يعني to be also very frank with you, till today,
No perfect
in our
equation.
companies, we're fine-tuning our audience. It's really tricky because, for example, let's say you have a company and suddenly you have a new type of customer that has a lot of money, but they
Yeah.
don't fit. So do you adjust because you need the budget? Or so that's where you have to stop, sometimes just stand your ground, you build your community, because I think that gives you sustainability. If your brand is مرة أحمر مرة أخضر مرة أصفر مرة يمين مرة يسار, yes, you might make money quickly, and because everybody, you're trendy, let's say this year, but what happens after 3 years? Your visual and your brand identity has to be so consistent that خلاص, people believe in you. They don't feel you're contradicting yourself. متقلب كbrand.
لا I don't actually mean like that you change your brand. I mean just about the communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for people to understand your brand, your values, your consistency. See my point?
Yes.
It's just how you communicate to different people, different perspectives, to ensure
Yeah.
the message that you believe in, the values you believe in, reaches them.
Yeah. I think
You know
there's
what I
no.
mean? Like
There's
you talk about Nike or whatever, like any of the brands, they all have the like great values, but their communication, for example, in the Middle East, should understand the people from Middle East.
100%.
Of
The
course,
communication
yeah.
in Europe and the US should be like
Yes.
addressing these people. So they should understand very well the locals, the
Sensitivities, the culture.
yeah, everything.
100%.
So that they send the message right. So they get, they just transform them, they convert them, they acquire them.
Yes.
They make sure the message is received, not just sending the message. You want to make
100%.
sure that it's received right.
I think
Yeah.
actually that's a great point that I will leave what Tariq just taught us, is the idea that even your branding and your guidelines should fit the markets that you're in. So you respect the different areas, صح, and the different people or communities. I think it's a very good point.
And that's part of localization. So when you build a brand, obviously in different areas that you're targeting, you want to localize the content. So the core is the same, right? But the way the outlets are and the implementation are going to differ. I'm going to say something very different in the Middle East than I say it in the West, but maybe the core is still the same. The foundation is the same. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Second question. خلينا نشوف.
Someone's waving.
في واحد وقف ما شاء الله ابو الاحمر. الحماس الزايد لازم نعطيه مايك. اسمك لو سمحت.
Hello, yes, my name is Philip.
Hi,
Thank
Philip.
you for your time. It's one in a decade experience for me at least as a student. So my question is the marketing outside of social media dead? Because a lot of business owners, like small businesses especially, they're not really into the modern way of communicating, approaching their customers. So they still give out flyers or they have stands outside. And of course, they would have their customers that they gained over the time that they're already in the business. But is it like still the peer-to-peer marketing? Is it still alive?
Anti-branding department, no marketing department.
No, it's a great question. We
It is,
can ask,
so
of course. Do
I'll
you
let
want
you
to go?
start. Yeah, you go.
Okay. So nothing is necessarily dead, but social media has taken over by storm, for sure. So the time, it's not that it's not important. It's that you have more impact and more power and more time to actually showcase your brand online because the tool is literally in your hand. And also it comes back to budget, right? So outside marketing doesn't mean that it's that your brand cannot be out there outside of social media, right? There could be, you could be in an event, you could be in a pop-up, you could be in the mall, you could be in a billboard, you could be on a, you could be anywhere, you could be in a magazine, you could be anything, but it really depends on the budget and it really depends on which areas you want to be showcased, like where are your brand touch points. So maybe in the beginning, what's so amazing about the internet and social media is that you can find someone in anywhere across the world to see your brand, right? But the marketing that's sort of like not online, that's offline, will reach a certain type of crowd with a certain type of distance, right? So it's not that it's dead, it's that it's just used in a different way, but you need a very smart strategy for your outside marketing. That's all it is.
I also think that you need this 360 approach.
Yeah.
So there is a ratio or a statistic, I don't know the exact number, but it says you need to see something, I think between 6 to 8 times for it to stick. So for example, if let's say there's a new TV series, and you see somebody post on their story, watching this, wow, you skip. Then you see an ad, same TV series. Then tomorrow you go to the office and your colleague says, did you see the new TV show that came out yesterday? So that's word of mouth. Then you go on the highway and you see a billboard. Sometimes you need 6 or 7 times to think, download today. So I think sometimes you have to just study your different avenues and see which one works for you best. But sometimes even word of mouth is one of the best things, just people recommending, where did you get this pizza? You should go try this. Make sure you order this one. So I would say everything is important, but you have to see what ratio.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate you.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
We have another one.
How much
We
time
have
do you
2
have?
hands in the back.
كم وقت عندنا من يقدر يقول لنا؟ Can we do 2 more questions?
Yeah.
مدام وين نانسي؟
It depends. Where's the Forbes team moving?
خلود يمكن انت اللي تقولي لنا كم دقيقة تعطينا سؤالين؟ سؤال؟ You tell us. 2. 3? 2. Okay. We did 1 here, 1 there. So let's go this side. Any?
Yeah, and maybe one here as well.
Let's go here. 1, 2.
Someone standing up.
دحين كل حب yes, that one, the one who's standing up. Honey. 3rd row. أيوة.
Hi, my name is Heidi Yakub, and I wanted to ask you what makes your brand unique?
Which one?
Your brand, Bukhash Brother.
On the spot. Yalla.
Bukhash Brothers. I think it's better to ask a person who works at Bukhash Brothers rather than
I'll
one of the
answer,
brothers.
but like go
I'll be
first.
biased. Go ahead.
No, go first.
I think I would like
You
to
want
hear
me
your
to answer
perspective.
her?
Yeah, because I'm biased to my brand.
You can talk
Okay.
about AB Talks.
It's also my brand.
Okay.
So let's first hear her,
No,
then
no,
I'll give
tell
you
you,
my
it's
point
fine.
of view.
Okay. So obviously we're a digital growth agency, right? So we work with a lot of clients. I think what makes us unique is that we love obviously like growth and prosperity, but we really genuinely care about the clients that care about their own brands. So what makes us unique is that it's not just a transaction. We don't just give you a service and then, yes, let's take your money. We really genuinely build a meaningful relationship with you. So all of our clients, when we see that they're so passionate about their business, we're passionate with them. So it's really not a transaction for us. So at Bukhash Brothers, we care about our clients deeply. We love the ones who are actually passionate about their businesses. And when they grow, like we grow with them as if they're our own babies as well. If that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And I think when I start to look at the different startups that I've done, I noticed that there's a commonality also. So in Bukhash Brothers, the brand purpose was designing meaningful relationships. That was our DNA. At Chalk, the hair salon, was empowering expression. At AB Talks was discovering the human behind the title. So you can see there are a lot of human elements. And we always wanted this human connection and express yourself and let's connect with each other. And honestly, yes, I'm going to brag about this point. I was just going to say I'm not bragging, but no, I'm bragging. The people at Bukhash Brothers are really good people.
Good people, yeah.
And I think this word is really underrated. We say, this guy is smart, this person is this girl is that. We don't focus on good.
Shout out to Bibi here, Bukhash Brothers.
So if you ever pass by in our office, you're going to see, you'll be like, they're nice. They're really nice people. They're good. And if you start with good people at the core, good things can come. So I think that's very important to our brand. It started as two brothers sitting in a living room, three then, and then became two. And then slowly started to grow, and it became a bigger family.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
One more question وخلنا نروح ورا.
Catch a plane.
شوف انت يسترقصين الموسيقى في الليل مو بالحين.
I see people jumping.
Okay, who
طيب,
jumped higher?
the one in the middle.
انت اختاري هي.
Yeah?
Okay, here?
Can we send her a microphone? Yeah?
يلا آخر سؤال.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask about the storytelling.
Name first.
My name is Farah.
هلا فرح.
Okay, so I have a brand and I build an identity for it, like the pictures, the typography, everything. But I don't know how to fit in the storytelling part because I think it connects people to the brand and it gives them like a background story about the brand and where it comes from, but I don't know how to fit it in. Like, I see people telling stories about the brand through TikTok and through يعني يصوروا the process of the brand, the way they design the products and everything. But what if I'm shy to like go on TikTok and film this stuff? How can I do a story without filming myself on TikTok? Because I don't know how to like create TikTok videos and like vlogs and things like that.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you a small tip in the beginning. I totally understand. I know that it's not easy just putting your face on social media, which a lot of us, don't do. But a big power of storytelling is not just putting your face on the brand. You can even start with a very simple voiceover, right? Record your voice alone, not on a video, right? And say what you want to actually tell your audience of why you made your product. May I ask what it is?
It's a fashion brand named Aurora.
A fashion brand, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about the process through a voiceover of why you even wanted to open this brand, right? And do it while, for example, let's say a front lay. So let's say, for example, you're sketching your new fashion outfit or dress, or hey, maybe bring a camera, have a front lay, try drawing something that you're doing or working on a laptop, and record yourself talking about the process of why you even opened the brand, right?
Yeah.
And baby steps, you'll begin to see there's a lot of engagement just from that type of storytelling. And then little by little, you'll find different unique ways, that's just one way, of how to tell your audience more about your brand from your perspective, right? As personal as you can, but baby steps, you can start with your voiceover, and then little by little, you can film maybe you working, and then you, for example, in front of the camera. But storytelling is very easy as long as you are being authentic. You're answering genuinely why you did the brand, the foundation, all the things that we talked about. And sort of define that and talk about it in your captions, in your TikTok videos, Instagram. Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank
Of
you guys. I
course.
hope we helped you with the
Thank
tutorial.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Noor.